series with myself, Layers, and Drummer Boy Studios. So this project, essentially, we started it just to kind of get creators together, speak to them about their experience, about their inspirations, what they're working on and whatnot.
Cool.
So yeah, it's good to have Yinka here. Pure Yinks or Yinka, what do you prefer?
Thanks for having me. You know what? Yeah, I actually recently have decided I want people to call me Pure Yinks. It's a name I never actually wanted people to call me by before.
Oh really?
I used to run I used to be part of a group called Pure Vibes.
Okay, cool.
And then it was around the time when Twitter came about and I needed to have a Twitter and I couldn't think of anything. So I put Pure Yinks and then people just started calling me that.
From there on?
Yeah.
So Twitter started what? I don't know, 2000 and...
I don't know, 9, 8?
2009 or 8?
I don't know. But I got Twitter in 2010.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Pure Yinks it is. So I wanted to ask you about a few things anyway. We've actually wanted to catch up for a while now. We've been speaking about meeting up and whatnot. So obviously I'm impressed by the success of Oliver Twist, the musical. That was massive. Like, the more I've kind of read about it, I knew it was big back then, when you did it, but the more I've read about it, the more I realised actually this was actually quite huge. And I wanted to ask you first though, like when you were younger, right, growing up, like at 14, for example, just take yourself back. What did you see yourself becoming? What did you dream of like becoming at the time?
When I was 14, I think like a lot of black youth from the ends, I wanted to be a football player. But that was more like my backup plan. I think my main thing that I was going for was to become a doctor. And eventually a medical researcher, So I was very interested in science and I wanted to find a cure for something. I care about people, so
okay, that's cool. Was it more like influenced by parents though, or was it more like, no, that was actually what you liked? Like how it is sometimes.
Yeah, do you know what?
It's our culture.
It's hard to tell because I was definitely passionate about science. And I guess you kind of just try to find your passions or what you're good at and then, kind of create a lane for yourself in it. So I guess because I was passionate at science and I was very good at it as well in school. And I wanted to do something and it just made sense to be a medical researcher.
Okay, cool.
Saying that though, I remember parents' evening when I was like 13. My dad came to the school. And we're going around to all the teachers and whatnot, and we get to my drama teacher. And my drama teacher tells him, he's got the highest grade in the class, he's doing really well, blah blah. But just before that, we went to my maths teacher, and they were like, I was like second highest.
Okay,
you could get like a level 6 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
So he just kind of like laid into my drama teacher and was like, why can't you get him to do this in maths and da da da. And I think because I do remember that day, that probably had some kind of effect in my psyche with it.
When it comes to that production and stuff. So essentially, obviously we went to the same uni, right? What did you study again at uni?
Medical science.
Really?
Yeah.
So in terms of then, creating a lane in theatre and stuff, that's not actually something you've done before?
Nah, absolutely not.
No experience with Oliver Twist?
I only just went to theatre to watch a musical, I think, once as an adult, and that was for Valentine's Day. Got dragged there by my ex.
So
it wasn't.
Wow, that's I'm trying to kind of like digest that, but I guess that even makes it more amazing, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
So let's talk about that then. Let's talk about Oliver Twist. Let's talk about how it came about. I read obviously 2012. You started kind of the process and started to get ideas together and kind of put things in place. How did it then transpire from there on, from the initial idea? And actually, what inspired it?
So for me, I've just grown up on afrobeats and like even just Nigerian rap. My mum used to bring back Idris Abdul Karim mixtapes when I was young. I remember Kenneth's music on Ben TV. Like all of those things that I used to do in secret, like in my house, like, you know what I mean? So when the band made Oliver Twist and it got to number 9 in the charts, and BBC were playing it during the New Year's countdown, and then all these like things started popping up. You could buy Ankara from like Selfridges or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like when all the
something like really impactful.
Something really impactful. So when all that started up, I just started taking note that people were actually buying into the culture, and I was just like, yo, hold on, I am the culture. Like this is just normal for me. So if you're paying all these people to like do dance lessons and do this and do that, make videos, what's my contribution to the culture? Do you know what I mean? And at the time, I was hosting a lot of shows, around the country at different universities. I was doing my own raves at uni, and I was producing shows at uni as well. So for me, it just made sense. I'm like, it's the culture that I'm part of. This is my contribution. But what really inspired it was I was watching a video on YouTube when I was meant to be revising, as we do. And the video was called Azonto in Real Life on YouTube. I don't know if you remember, it was like 5-minute clips. These
like people kind of like doing everyone kind of.
I think they were from Germany. These like Ghanaians from Germany.
Oh yeah,
And so they created like funny little stories, but they would use the songs, like Azonto songs, to tell the story. And I was like, why isn't there an Afrobeats musical? Like that there should be one. So when I went looking for one, I found Fella.
Yeah.
But for me, obviously Fella's a very inspirational person, and his story is inspiring. His music is amazing, but that tells a story of like the '60s, and a time. And obviously we're still in a time where there's difficulties, being African, being black. But there is this new, like just around the time when the D'banj song came out, there's this new like, new energy that we have. Few says this is new Africa. Like there's this new energy that we all have. And it's positive, and it's entrepreneurial, and it's uplifting, and all of that. And I was like, that's a story. I need to tell a story about that. And using current music, well, not current music, but the new Afrobeat
sound back then. So I mean, obviously you had an idea, right? You had what's inspired it. You had a few things that kind of started to click, and like with any idea and vision, that's what it takes to bring it to life. To develop it, you had it in your head, and you had to then obviously manifest and stuff. So what was the process of? What was the first few steps? So you can kind of like, tell me a bit about that. What was the first few things you had to do before it got to West End, which is obviously like the ultimate goal anyway?
Yeah. So West End wasn't the ultimate goal.
No?
No, it wasn't. No.
Okay, cool.
I actually envisioned it to be like, because in uni we always used to do events in like a club.
Yeah.
And they would just put chairs in the club.
What was the name of that club? The one everyone used to go to?
Was it Legend?
Legend
or Liquid?
Liquid.
Yeah. So that's how we always used to do things back in the day. And for the first one, I envisioned it to be like a 400 capacity, maybe 200 capacity club. Put some chairs in there, and it would just be like a bunch of talented people using Afrobeats songs to like do little skits here and there. Although I did have bigger visions for it moving forward, so I'm happy that you mentioned the word manifesting, because that's something that I'm very I've always been very aware of without being aware of it, if that makes sense. From a young age, I've always been able to envision something and then make it happen. So it was, the first step was sending out a broadcast on BlackBerry back then, saying if I do an Afrobeat show, who wants to be involved? I got a mad response. So I was like, this has to happen.
Okay, cool. Like roughly how many people?
So in uni, man, my BlackBerry was crazy. I had about 600 contacts. Like,
it's
just basically mainly from the uni as well. But I had like a couple hundred people say that they'll be interested in being involved, and I was like, if they want to be involved, then there's definitely an audience for it as well. Do you know what I mean?
So, and obviously another stats that I'm interested, I'm interested in and also really inspired by is the fact that 67% of the audience had never been. And obviously theatre is one of those things that, like yourself, I've only ever been to like to theatre. Like, I think it was in Stratford. Like, I can't remember the name of it now. I went there twice. And that's it. It's just one of those things people just don't really go to.
Yeah, trust me. Even the first time I went, I wore like a 3-piece suit or something, man. It wasn't even like it wasn't nothing like it was an occasion. It's always an occasion like where we go theatre. But it's that thing, man. I've spoken about this many times before. It's just like tapping into, when you genuinely tap into a culture, the culture will come. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's all art forms, all parts of entertainment. They all benefit from being able to tap into that culture. But theatre has like a really slow progression in terms of catching up with all of those other art forms. And I think it's not just the art form though. It's also like producing for me is an art in itself, even though most people won't really see it as that. But that's why I call myself a creative producer. Because even the way you present it, the way you promote it, it has to have a certain look, a certain sound, a certain venue for those people to come. So many times I've been to a theatre and it will be like a black play and there's like 3 black people in the audience, and it's because us black people don't even know where to find out that the show's happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not something that, you know, it's quite difficult to kind of find out, like, you know, there's like an event or there's like,
exactly.
You know, people would know about other stuff going on, like raves and clubbing and whatever not.
Exactly.
But like, you know, theatre is, so 67% audience, like, you know, first timers, right?
Yeah.
And then I think another stats was, was it 80% were under 35?
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah. So you managed, how did you manage to engage, like, you know, such audience? How did you kind of, like, you know, get their attention?
Yeah, so again, it's the culture thing.
Yeah.
Work for me, one of the, like, a real social influencer, is the Big Clash game show. Okay. And for me, you know, when it comes to like influencers, there are some people who do it from the grassroots, and that's the people that are the most effective. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it might not reach to every single aspect of the culture, but it's something that they carry on building. Do you know?
Yeah.
So like back then, if a certain song was broken on the Big Clash, that artist would like be able to get performances at every university. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like it was that kind of thing. So for me, in terms of building that audience, I was hosting all of those shows with Uncle D. Doing the Big Clash. Again, tapping into culture with all the different little things that you do, hosting concerts, you know, just having relationships with artists, like all those kind of things. Just it builds the trust of the audience to know that this person actually knows what they're doing and they're actually going to be able to do something good with it. And then the rest of it was faith
as well.
And just people around me, man. Like, trust me, I'm like I guess I'm the face of it, but just every single time I've done it, there's been so many people that's helped me. And it can't be done without them. And like there's certain aspects of the show sometimes I just completely give it the whole responsibility to someone else.
I think that you're taking care of that.
Yeah.
And how long is it? Because I didn't end up seeing it. I'd definitely like to see it when it comes back.
Yeah.
How long was it?
The one in the West End was about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We did one in the West End in 2013. Then we did Hackney Empire, which was an hour and 45 minutes.
That's cool.
Yeah, but so since we did Hackney Empire, which was in 2014, we've been developing the musical for 4 years.
Okay.
So now, it's about 2 hours long, and it's sick.
Yeah.
Better than it's ever been.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's dope. I'm definitely gonna catch it. I wanted to ask you about the education system, right? Because that's something I'm really like interested in, and also, you know, there's that notion in our age now, in our generation, that people are like, oh, there's a lot of things that they taught us in school, but they didn't teach us about mortgages. They didn't teach us about, you know, getting a loan, investing, like, you know, starting a business, like. So I wanted to ask, you know, in all that process, like, did the education system, do you feel like that helped you in any way? Like,
I think the first thing I'll say about what you just said now, because it was on my mind the other day actually, and I tweeted about it when people were, you know, discussing the reasons why certain things are happening in London at the moment. And I was just basically saying that once we kind of identify how intentional this environment of self-destruction is, then you'll be able to understand, you know, what's happening, and you'll be able to direct your anger and your solutions in the right direction. So you're very right. You know, it's very intentional that we weren't taught those things in school, in my opinion. So like, in terms of the project, no, I'll say life experiences taught me about it. I don't think school really does prepare you for the real world in terms of that. I guess in some aspects it does.
With certain things it does.
With certain aspects it does, but I mean, I went completely against the grain, like, not even just school, just society.
Because when you think about it, you know, you're not someone that kind of studied, you know, drama, if that makes sense. It's kind of like something that you essentially had the gift for, you know, having done that, but even though you might have not, but then you harness that gift in another way, you develop it through experience, as opposed to someone that went to like a grammar school, or a drama school, if that makes sense.
And the other thing is, I actually noticed, as a producer, because I came into it ignorant, like, and you know they say ignorance is bliss, and that was literally it for me. Like, the reason why I was able to get into the West End was because of ignorance. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't have that shackle of I might not get it.
I didn't have that shackle of that. I didn't. Like when I eventually, you know, got more into the industry and I started meeting more, you know, black creatives that work within theatre, I started realizing the real pessimistic attitude.
Yeah.
And then once I actually started working, I realised where the pessimism comes from, because the whole system's already set up in a way that creates that for you.
You were speaking about, kind of going into the, when you wanted to get into West End, that ignorance kind of helped in a way.
Yeah. So where I left off, basically, so everyone kind of has this chip on their shoulder a bit, and it's very right so as well, because, just like every other aspect of society, there are certain blockages. Some are on purpose, some are just by chance. But I didn't have that chip on my shoulder because I had not done the education, I had not done the internships or anything like that. So I was I called up the venue, I was like, can I do my show there? Do you know what I mean? And no one thinks to do that. So in terms of education, I think maybe not doing the education possibly, it was good for me. And then studying science, actually, for me, science prepares your mind for creativity. Because it helps you to like activate that side of your brain. Like, that's just how I imagine it to be, because you have to know what questions to ask. You need to know how to analyze data. Even when you think about that, the early scientists, they had nothing to go off of. So to even ask the questions of why is the sky like that, you had to be one of the most creative people in that
To start
space. Exactly.
So
I think education played a big part, man. Even just going to university is pretty much where I kind of like started crafting what I wanted to do in terms of entertainment. Because I think before uni, I had a job. Them promoters in the West End that come up to you like, do you want to go out to that? That was me back in the day. But that was me working for someone doing it. And then I think when I got to uni and I joined other groups as well that were doing raves or whatever, that taught me. So again, it's like education brings me there, but then it's the life experiences that prepare me for the next.
Kind of like put it all together. That's fine. So I also wanted to ask a bit about, like, to yourself, and I guess it might be really generic, right? But what does culture mean to you? Because culture is such a big, word. Do you know what I mean? But what does that mean to you? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your head when you think of culture?
When you ask, the first thing that comes to my head, food.
Really?
Yeah, food.
I like honesty. Okay.
Yeah, food comes to mind. It's just, but like when I think about it, culture is like it's a bunch of experiences, point of perspectives, point of views, and just life experiences merged into one thing that gives you an opinion, feeling towards something, and when you share those experiences with other people, you start to gauge the same emotions towards the same things, which then creates, clothing, food,
art, painting,
exactly,
whatever.
So all these like art, theatre, all these things are basically like symptoms of culture, like an apple on a tree. You know what I'm trying to say? So the tree is the culture, the apple is the art.
Okay, cool. And going back to your creative process, right? One thing that's obviously important, like in this age, is that for us to get like a balance, to anything really when you're trying to build something, because you can really get into that zone where you're always working and you don't kind of have a balance of kind of taking a break. How do you make sure that you enjoy the process? How do you?
I do so.
Do you
much.
enjoy it?
No, do you know what? It's not a thing of enjoying, man. It's passion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it, but it's a passion that keeps it going. Do you know what I mean? That's the honesty of it. You're not always gonna enjoy what you're doing. Because you're so passionate, because you love it so much. Like the littlest thing can frustrate you. You know what I mean?
That's like me. That's something I'm going through right now.
Yeah, exactly.
In my process and stuff, like people around me, they'll be like, but you can make time for this. But I'm thinking, I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. I really need to do that.
But I do so much to just make sure my mind is right. Like I take my mental health as a full-time job and my job as a part-time job. Do you know what I mean? So and it helps me be more productive. That might mean I only spend 2-3 hours like on a laptop in a day. But those 2-3 hours are more effective than like 8 hours of that day when I'm not in the right mind. Do you know what I mean? And you might see me at like loads of events and stuff. Like when I go to these events, I usually go for work, but it's a way of enjoying what you do while you're doing it, and then getting other people to help as well. the tasks that you find really frustrating, that they might find it easy
to do. So obviously, I understand. Obviously, you've got a team together. Have you got a space now? Then you've got a space where you guys are working on.
So I've got
working from.
I've got like 3 office spaces, which I don't pay for. Like,
really?
Yeah, I've been very blessed by in this situation. But actually, no, I've got 2 now. Yeah. The other one was I don't use that. I don't use the other one now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I won a bursary with Stage 1, which is they're an organisation that supports new producers, commercial theatre producers. So if you're producing theatre to make money, like in the West End or anything like that, they'll support you with funding, education, those stuff, which includes an office space where I usually work from. And then my co-producer has a space in Southwark that we work from as well. Yeah. But in terms of my team, like I usually have big teams, but moving forward, what I usually do is I try to get people like professional and creative development. While they're working with us, for them to go and do other stuff
as well.
So usually my teams usually change. So like the first ever media coordinator that I had, she like works at ITV now and does like all these like big broadcasting companies and stuff. But right now my team is literally like 3-4 of us.
Honestly, you guys are working together on like the next project and whatnot.
Do
you want? Is there anything you can talk about right now in terms of what you're gonna do next, or would you rather?
I mean, Oliver Twist is coming back.
Okay, cool.
Like I said, we've been developing it for 4 years. Arts Council England has given us a lot of funding for it. Stage 1 as well, been very supportive. British Council flew us out to Nigeria to do a performance at the Lagos Theatre Festival. The Musical Theatre Network as well, James Hadley, he's like been very supportive. We were one of 6 musicals picked in the whole country to be showcased, to be spotlight showcased at Beam. The Beam Festival. So through all those processes, we've been able to develop the musical. Every single year we've done like private showings for like supporters and stuff, for feedback and stuff like that. So now we're at a point where we're in the last stage of development. We're finishing off the script with all the little drafts that we've got here and there, and developing the last bits of music, and then doing a show in London, Manchester and Coventry. With 3 more locations that are yet to be announced.
Cool.
And
when is that scheduled for then? I mean, in terms of when do you reckon that will be ready to go?
So
this year or next year?
This year. It will start in September. And we're looking to finish about November. And
I think I might have forgot this question, but in terms of like the cast, right? How many people like is it, or does it vary?
It does vary actually. So do you mean where we're at now, or?
No, I mean in terms of like when you do the show, even when you did the first one, right?
We did it
vary from when you did it, because obviously you did that West End, you did that.
When we did the first one, we had like 50 people in the cast. Like that was crazy. But moving forward, I wanted to make sure people were getting paid properly and stuff like that.
Cool.
So, and also just the musical, we wanted to make it more organised, we wanted to make it neater. So we cut the numbers down. I think when we did Hackney, I think we had a cast of maybe like 16 probably.
So you kind of had to,
we had to. And then I think now we've got a cast of 21 including the band.
Okay, cool. So I'll ask you, because you mentioned about sort of like the bursary and you mentioned Stage 1, right? And I think, was it 2016, you the Sky, Academy Arts, what was it? I think that's what it is, isn't it? How did that situation like transpire? Like, did they see your work, or did you kind of like approach them?
So they used to have a application process. So in 2013, when I first did the show, I actually applied, and I got no response at all.
Oh wow.
But do you know what? Before I carry on, actually, one thing I do want to kind of say, because I know some people will be watching this. So like, in the early stages, I used to apply for funding and not get it. But every single time I applied, I was actually, because the application forms force you to reevaluate your project, and also it asks you challenging questions that in turn makes you improve your project. So I've never like regretted, spending like the first one I spent a year writing the application.
Wow.
Went back and forth. They were giving me feedback. Spent a year writing a whole business plan. And then they came back to me and said it wasn't eligible.
for the funding.
For the funding,
After a year?
After a year of like back and forth.
Wow.
But the thing is, it actually just put me like so on. Like after that, I just banged out so many applications and I started getting them.
Yeah.
So with Sky, I applied in 2013. I didn't even get a response. And then when it was 2016, I felt like I was in a much better position, like career-wise.
Yeah.
I understood myself better. I understood my projects better. I understood where I wanted to go a bit better. So I applied. The application is like you have a written part and you have a video application.
Yeah.
I think I might actually take that off private on YouTube one day to like let people see.
What the application, the video application? Or they record it, or you?
Yeah. So I work with Bonks quite a lot. He's a camera guy for Big Clash.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So it was actually when I got back from Nigeria.
Yeah.
I asked him to come with me to the Beam conference and like try and shoot something while we were rehearsing. So yeah, we shot the application 2-minute video.
Yeah.
And then he literally edited it while we was on set at the Big Clash.
Wow.
They worked very hard there. Right?
Yeah.
He literally was editing it and making sure it was all good. And I was on set at the Big Clash, and then we handed that in. After that, you get longlisted. They make a list of 11 people and they like reveal what their projects are. When I read that list, oh my days, I was so scared.
Well, like the people that were there, or just
because like their projects just sounded so layered, like not excuse the pun, but their project sounded so like it had so much depth to it. And mine was like, I just want to do Keenan and Kel because I used to watch it when I was young. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, damn, like how am I gonna compete with these people? But you know, I think sometimes when it comes from the heart, you don't even realize how other people interpret it. You don't realize other people's perspectives on it. And little did I know it was a good enough project. So I got shortlisted. So no, you do a phone interview, and then you get shortlisted. And then when you get shortlisted, you have to do a 40-minute presentation to a boardroom of 11 people in the Sky headquarters.
Wow.
And some of those people were like director of Sky Arts and the owner of Barbican Theatre, and it was
okay. Let me breathe. Because the whole process of like presentation, I mean, even for like 4 or 5 minutes, like people are panicking, just to do like 4 or 5 minutes. And
but this is
it's not a slight. It's just like it's just difficult.
But this is why I say like everything comes around full circle. Like I spent 5 years hosting the Big Clash. That's presenting skills all there. Like I was very
you're kind of like earnest in that.
But the smaller crowds usually make me more nervous than bigger crowds when it comes to hosting and presenting. Why is that? I think with bigger crowds, it's just more of an illusion, I guess.
Because like you're kind of looking through things.
And it feels more of a performance. Whereas if it's a small group of people, it's more of a conversation. And then it's like,
that's when you can get
you feel a bit more exposed, basically.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I'm always
I mean, that's your experience.
But that was 20-minute presentation and then 20-minute questions.
Okay, so you've done the phone, you did the presentation. What happens after that?
Then you just wait for a phone call.
Oh, for them to decide, like
And then they called me. They were like, Yinka, how do you think it went? And I was like telling them everything I did wrong. They were like, well, we're calling today to let you know that you got it.
Wow.
I was like, nah, you're taking it. You're joking. You're taking it. I didn't believe them, you know.
Really?
I didn't believe them for like. I didn't believe it. Even once we dropped the phone, I still didn't believe them.
You were thinking like, can it be true? Like,
But then after that, they did like the ceremony, which was like amazing. Went to the Sky Arts Awards, and met like so many people there. And it was that day was a real eye opener for me in terms of like this like celebrity thing, that culture that we're in. Because that day, like. So, with the ceremony, they literally emailed me to say, we're gonna give you guys a ceremony to award you the Sky Arts Scholarship. Come as you are, you don't need to dress up whatever. Then like 3 days before, they sent another email saying, actually we need to wear evening wear because it's a bit more of a ceremony. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. And I didn't think anything of it. I even went out the night before to celebrate with my boys. And I was late the next morning.
Oh wow!
I was like an hour and a half late
to the ceremony.
To the beginning part of the ceremony. So when I was coming, she was like, "Oh yeah, rush, make sure you're running when you get here, whatever." Walk down the side of the hotel, you'll see like a couple cameras at the back, whatever. So I'm walking now, get round to the side of the hotel, and I just see like 4 fat lorries of like camera equipment. Wow. I was thinking like, what the hell's going on? I get to the end, and then there's like bare paparazzi there, and then I like see Stormzy walk past, I see like Lenny Henry walking past, like all these like celebrities and stuff walking around, and then they were like, yeah, get on the red carpet and do an interview, whatever, then go. So it was all very, very fast. Once I got in and I felt present, I was like, oh right, like I'm actually in the mix, like, and I think that day kind of just opened my eyes to like how we're all the same. You know, I had like an hour conversation with Lenny Henry and his wife, and where you think when you're in those positions, you think you're going to be able to like ask so many questions and pick their brains. But then it ended up being a thing of like they were picking my brains, asking me for advice and stuff. I was, do you know what I'm trying to say? You kind of realise that.
You start thinking,
hold
actually,
on a second.
I've got
this like lie that we've been told that like they're there and we're here. It's very. It's not the truth. Like, do you know what I mean? But that was my Sky experience.
I wanted to ask you about, you know, from my kind of just observing, right? Because I'm observing a lot of things, but kind of just looking at you from afar. And you know, even like on Twitter and the social, like you're a sociable person, you know, you're quite bubbly, and even from uni days anyway, like, you know, I remember we used to have the Nigeria versus Ghana football competition. You kind of be involved in it, you know, in that whole process, and obviously, you know, going back to events and, you know, kind of live, you know, kind of production and whatnot that you were doing at Austin. You know, has it always been like that for you? Have you always been one of those people that, you know what, I'm just a social kid growing up, or
do you know what?
Did you develop that?
The thing is, I still know I don't see myself as a sociable person. Actually, not really.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like I just love people, with it. Like that's literally it. Like it's just literally a love for people. Like I've always been like that growing up. Like I've always just loved people. But I also kind of like I kind of just do what I want to do when I want to do it. So that's why I'm like, I don't really see myself as a sociable person. If I'm in a situation that makes me feel sociable, I will be sociable. And if I'm not, like I'm sure many people have seen, like I will just shut down and I'll be like on my zone. And not even in a bad way. Like most times when I'm quiet or in my zone, I'm doing that because that's what I enjoy in that moment. But yeah, so like I've always like led double or triple lives. Like so when I was in like primary school, I was probably like one of the popular kids in primary school. But then maybe at church I'd be quiet. You know, sometimes you need a break from different or like when I was in secondary school, I had my group of friends in my class who I was popular amongst, and then maybe, you know, again, like maybe football. When I go for football training, I'll just be focused. Like I'm not there to make friends, I'm there to train.
Okay, cool. I know obviously football is something like definitely. I remember you used to always play in uni. And also you're into boxing as well, right?
Yeah, that's more of a recent thing.
You started picking that up. Well, how did you how did you go from football to something much more individual?
Boxing was, do you know what? I started boxing at a very, very low point in my life. I think it was a form of like just expressing frustration, exercise when I wasn't getting it. Like you can see, I've lost weight now. Because I gained weight when I was like in a low place. So yeah, like boxing was just my way of like getting over that. But then I started liking it. Started noticing I was getting good at it, and like the coaches, like so when the first boxing gym I went to is called All Star Gym. It's in like Harrow Road. And they have like 3 classes. So they have like beginners, intermediate, and the people that literally spar every session. But I noticed I was moving through it quick. Moving through it quite quickly. So when you're good at something and you get praise and you enjoy it, you start to develop a bit of a passion for it. And then I got injured, so I was literally just past my trial at the gym. And the next step was to train to get licensed, so I could do amateur boxing.
Okay, cool.
But then I got injured at that point, so
that's kind of stopped.
I had to stop for about a year, and then I started training with JD. He's a personal trainer. And then my other boy as well, he's a pro boxer, Michael. Well, he's not a pro boxer yet, but he's training to be a pro boxer. Boxing, it keeps me level-headed. It's one of those, you know, earlier I said that I do a lot of things to keep me.
You like with your mental.
Yeah. So boxing is one of those things, especially like when I've got like a period of time where I'm doing like business deals and going for meetings and stuff like that. Boxing kind of like prepares you to be like to protect yourself, to be aggressive, but with the aim of achieving something, not being aggressive for the sake of it. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And it kind of puts me in that mindset.
Yeah.
I even noticed like the last time I went boxing training, like, I smashed my meetings after that. Like I had a week of meetings, I just smashed all of them. Like.
Yeah, because it kind of prepares you mentally for that kind of like that combat, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's really interesting actually. So let's talk a bit about the future now, right? This is something I've asked a few people already, and I'm going to ask a lot of people I speak to. I wanted to know a bit about what do you think is the next like big thing, and where's it coming from? I know that might be linked to theatre, that might be linked to like music, that might be linked to like
This is so random,
yeah.
This
but
is
what
so,
do you
so
like? What are you observing at the moment, or what do you coming across?
This might not be the next thing, but it's definitely. I feel like it's something though.
Okay.
And it came about from a conversation I had about so like bloggers and people that do like promotional stuff and use their social media for promotion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As the music restrictions have been getting tighter. Obviously they're not able to post their stuff because the music, it will get taken down because of the music licensing.
Oh right.
So I was just thinking like, what's the solution to that problem? And obviously it would be to make your own music. But then I was like, so once that starts, that will create a market. Like, so who would be at the top of that market? It would be whoever can make like wavy music, but specifically to the vlog or the social or the influencer.
Yeah. And
music that would make it just pop basically. And then like a month after that conversation, there was the American girl who had her boyfriend make a rap tune for her makeup, I think makeup tutorial,
Oh really?
Yeah, and it banged, and I was like, and I messaged my friend, I was like, I told you it was gonna happen.
So basically a lot of them couldn't use kind of, like the licensed music and stuff anymore. So, obviously you kind of had an idea of, people might have to start making their own.
And I thought I might do that because the thing is I really enjoy rapping, but I'm not trying to be a rapper. And I was like, how else can I use like that skill to like?
So you can just write for people, or that's interesting. Another thing I've been noticing like for myself is like there's this paid like partnership thing that you keep seeing on Instagram now. So when you go on like a celebrity or like an influencer's like account, if they're like at an event, like this guy I follow, he's like Igor Monzi, you might know about him.
Okay,
like the stylist. And I think it was like Coachella and stuff. Like I think last weekend was it, or the one before? So and I was just seeing like a lot of like over the weekend and the last 2 weeks I've been seeing like this like paid partnership. Like what and I was thinking, I'm like curious person, like what is that? Like because these things can like go over a lot of people's heads.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean? But I was like, that's something I've just recently started to see now. Like paid partnership like with Ciroc, or paid partnership with like I don't know Adidas or whatever. So I kind of looking into that and I was like, oh, so that's another new thing that's been introduced now. Like when like a brand, when they're like kind of putting you out there, or like you got like a partnership collaboration going on with them, you can kind of just like trigger this, and then it would lead straight to the brand's account.
Okay.
So which is kind of like a way of you kind of like, it's kind of like diverting traffic to them.
Yeah.
But you just being you.
You just being you. Okay, that makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
So, but like you're
to utilize that.
do you know? Like, I was like, oh, so that's another thing, and that's why I asked the question.
But the next big thing is Oliver Twist.
I like that even better. Do you know what I mean? Because after a while you got to look after home as well.
That's the next big thing.
So and I can't wait for that to actually come out because I'm gonna turn on.
I mean, we're looking to rival like the West End musicals, like so I'm telling you, like it's that level.
So like Wicked and
those when I tell you we've been developing it for 4 years, we've had mentors that have done stuff in the West End. We've understood how to create musicals, but also keep it authentic with the music, the sound, the accents that we use in there. Very authentic, and obviously you know where it's coming from. It's gonna be one of them ones, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can't wait. And I guess from myself, it would be amazing just to see how big that gets, and if that should supersede the first one, because that's what you want that growth.
And
that's one thing I've noticed with yourself is like there's been that growth. Like you haven't kind of just like stayed in one position since
Nah.
that. So, and what I wanted to actually ask like earlier was, you know, after the success of like, you know, 2013, right? Did that put a bit more pressure on you going into the next process?
Do you know what? Maybe for the Hackney show actually.
Okay.
Because I was gonna say no, but yeah, I think for the Hackney show
Yeah.
probably did. And I think people usually do try to apply pressure to say, you know, when's the next thing happening. And I got loads of that. I got loads of like DMs and messages and people asking when's the next thing happening, when's the next thing happening. But I'm a very stubborn person. I'm very stubborn, and I'm also like I strike like this is something that I turned down a graduate job for when I left uni. This is something that I quit my job for. This is something that I went very broke for, and I was signing on at a job centre. This is something that I spent all my money on, all my time on. Like this is something that I take very, very seriously. So it's like, no matter how much people try to rush me, and my co-producer, who was like my mentor, she introduced me to this director, Femi. Damn, I'm gonna forget his surname, and he's like a very big director in the film. But yeah, and he said to me like, don't worry about what anyone, you know, don't worry about any kind of pressure that anyone puts on you. You need to make sure that it's right for your vision and how you've envisioned it, and that's why I spent so long developing it. And yeah, like so yeah, the pressure does come externally, but internally I try to like always maintain a balance and don't let my ego get in the way. You know, because when you're creating art, it's like Kanye tweeted the other day, you're a servant. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? So you have to put your pride and your ego to the side. You know, trying to get credit all the time or trying to get like, you know, people talking about you or trending or whatever. It's not my aim.
Yeah.
So
that's really interesting, you know, because I think like, you know, I'm not cutting you off, but I feel like, you know, when you create something like unique, like, you know, and it will come with like a lot of plaudits and stuff, being able to balance, you know, like the accolade that come with that, and not to kind of let it get to your head, and always, you know, I think that what defines like true great artists like Kanye, for example, is that they just do it over and over again. And I feel like I was thinking about that the other day, and I was thinking about the whole Yeezy line and the stuff he's doing, and you know, just like shoe line and
he put some stuff like that he knows people are gonna cuss him about.
Yeah, but it's just because I feel like sometimes when he does that, I feel like he's already like 5 years ahead.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like he will put something. I feel like he'll put something out there, but then in his head or in the background, they've already got like what's coming on the next 5 years anyway. So it's like what you guys are like, all the like, it's like I've already moved on.
And he's already
got to the next thing.
What you don't even notice is that with all the negative attention that you put on this particular thing, he's already done what he needed to do. He's put it out there. He's got you talking about it. Subliminally, it's in your mind already. So when it comes out in 5 years, your taste has already started to be accustomed to it. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like that accolades and attention and stuff sometimes makes you feel a bit sick. So
you kind of have to like you have to block it out. In a way, like, it's kind of like, oh, thank you, but I'll move on now. Okay, cool. And I also wanted to ask you a bit about obviously Resourced Entertainment. Is that part of your production, then is that going to be, you know, Oliver Twist will be kind of like presented under Resourced, or? Yeah, so it's my creative production company. Okay, cool. We'll be doing like, the main thing is live entertainment. So for me, like I said, I love people. So everything I do is about human interaction. If you notice, I don't really have much on YouTube, like on my own merits, because hosting, I like to be in front of people, like live to people, shows, live concerts, theatre. So Resource stands for responsibly sourced. Which has like so many different meanings to it. And I guess maybe the main one is, you know, when you see responsibly sourced on food packages, and it means that they got it from like sustainable sources or whatever. Sources organic. So the first time I saw it, I actually thought they meant sauce, because I was like, you know when you see the king prawns in Sainsbury's, you're not gonna buy it because it's too expensive, but like you just like kind of glance over it. So I thought there was sauce in it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then when I realised what it actually meant, I was like, oh, that's also cool. So let me try and use that as well. Because I feel like the people I collaborate with, the stories I try to tell, they're all coming from a very responsible place. Like I put a lot of craft, I put a lot of work into my craft. You know, I do a lot of research, I read, I practice. The other people that I work with as well, like there's always this synergy that I try to create when I'm working with people. So I see my work as responsibly sourced. And it's also
a term I feel describes me as a person as well, because a lot of people call me humble or stuff like that. And I do feel humble sometimes, but I feel that they're getting it twisted because I'm not as humble as people think. I'm just, it's the truth. It's the truth, isn't it? Like I'm not as humble as people think. I see it as like when you're so confident in your abilities, you don't really shove it in people's faces. And if you're somebody who like cares about people and respects yourself and respect people, you will use that source responsibly and use it to uplift other people and use it to uplift yourself.
Okay, so it's good to, and also it's good for people to get clarity as to like where these names come from. Like, with me, like I think sometimes I have to explain the whole concept of like, how did I, stumble upon the name Layers? Because when I wanted to start my business, I was thinking about so many names, right? And I remember one of the first names I had was Fear Not. And that was interesting because that came from like a biblical place. Kind of like the whole concept of like Jesus always saying like, like having no fear. And, your faith needs to be like really high. And I was like, people are probably gonna like think this is too religious and stuff. So let me think of something else. And then I thought, layers. Everyone understands what layers mean. My last few questions now, right? I wanted to ask you about the, ACTS. You worked with them as an artistic like director and stuff. Play them. And it said when I was doing my research, like the story was inspired by kind of like the Bible and stuff. And that's something I'm trying to get into. That's something I wanted to kind of do like an exhibition style. Kind of take stories from the Bible and then present them in like a visual form. What kind of story did you take? Just give me like an example.
ACTS stood for Announcing Christ Through Scenes. It was the drama department of the church I used to go to.
Okay, cool.
And even though I'm not as religious as I used to be, I think it's still, there's a lot of like morality and just human interaction, real like human stories in the Bible that you can really use to like express so many different kinds of things. But what the concepts that I kind of worked with them on, I think we did 2 plays. The first play was it was called Hopeless in Mandaya. It was basically like Black Panther in a sense. But what we did was we took the concept of the love that we basically personified God, and took the love that He had for His Son to demonstrate the love that He had for the world. So it was like a civil war setting, and basically the only way that Mandaya could win the war was for him to sacrifice his son, because he ended up in enemy lines. So the only way for Mandaya to win the war was for him to sacrifice his son. But what we did in the play is we really demonstrated how much he loved his son, so that by the time we got to the point where he has to sacrifice, and the audience could have that feeling. So that was that. Funnily enough, like we're on layers, but I feel like even now when I'm like working on stories and stuff, one of the layers sometimes has a bit of a biblical thing to it, just because because I think when I'm creating stories, I like to even if it's not about that, I like to identify what other stories it is about. Do you know what I mean? It's something I've been taught to do. Even when you're writing a story and it's nothing to do with X, Y, or Z, you kind of like try and find X, Y, and Z and see it and say, it's this kind of story. It's my take on this story. My take on that story.
That's really interesting because like you look at the whole concept of Game of Thrones, right? Did you watch the? You didn't?
No. Wow. I know.
Wow. But I mean, George R. Martin and stuff, and obviously the whole concept of the story and stuff is, even though it's like we're now seeing it like visual on screen and stuff, is he took a lot of that from history. Looking at that Swedish history and stuff, like kind of like that royalty, the UK, of course, Scotland, and all around, and it's kind of, it's almost like they're replaying history for you. Do you know what I mean? Instead of you going to like a history class, he's actually giving
you see it a lot
TV. You see it a lot.
Like, even like X-Men, people say it's about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Like there's loads of those like
kind of like subplots where you kind of take like inspirations from. So I wanted to ask you something. Just a quick one. If there's like, what would you say to people that are kind of like trying to find their lane? Not necessarily like in terms of what you're doing, but in just generally in life, right? Because I want to use like this platform as also like to encourage people, right? So if there's like a young person, that's trying to find their lane, that's trying to they got a lot of ideas and they can't narrow it down, because that's another thing. It's one thing to have it, but it's actually another thing to pinpoint what you need to run with, or what you need to focus on. How would you tell them to harness that energy? Or
firstly, harnessing that energy comes from doing something genuine. Yeah. If it comes from the heart, if it comes from the soul, you will find that energy. Like, do you know what I mean? You'll find the energy to at least find out how to do it. And I think that's one of the first steps. Another thing is you can't be like, you have to be shameless. Yeah. With me,
that's a good one. I think you tweeted about. Did you tweet about it? Something like that. Yeah, I retweeted. I wanted to tweet that like 50 times. You need to really be shameless.
Yeah, man. You have to do things. Yeah, you have to be shameless, man. You can't just imagine trying to do something, but you're too prideful to ask for help, or to ask questions, or to seem like you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing, so it's okay. Like, let people know that you don't know.
And that's one thing that's for us, especially in our culture, anyway. Like people have that pride, but I don't want to seem like I don't know how to do it. But if you don't know how to do it, then you don't know how to do it.
Yeah, you don't know how to do it, exactly. Like, with me, I've always been new to everything I do, like hosting, theatre, all of it. I've always been new. So every single time I've had to ask, like even before I hosted my first wedding, I called comedian, and I called Eddie Caddy and I asked them both for advice. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though I know how to host, and I'm like, I was confident with the wedding, I've never hosted a wedding before, so these people are paying me to host a wedding as my job, like, responsible. You have to be responsible. Yeah, you have to be responsible with it. So you're providing a service, so let me go and do the best possible job I can do. Yeah. So you ask advice, you ask people things, and also in terms of creating a lane, going back to saying comes from a genuine place. A lot of the systems that are in place, a lot of the constructs of society are in place, and they usually go against our natural instincts. But the thing is, our natural instincts are kind of like it's our key to freedom. Do you know what I mean? If you can identify what you actually want to do, like, and when I say what you actually want to do, I don't mean like based on what other people think is nice and good and what makes money, and no, you have to kind of start from within. And for me, like, just even the way I feel, like the way my body reacts to a conversation, sometimes lets me know that's not what I want to do, but that is what I want to do. Like, that's why I make drastic decisions, like turning down a graduate job that could have paid me like loads to produce a musical, something I've never done before. Do you know what I mean? But it felt so right, and at the end of the day, it was right. Do you know what I mean? So like, you have to search within. You have to visualize it, and you have to have faith in something. You have to have faith in something, like, even if it's just belief in yourself, or if you're gonna grab that faith from your religion, or whatever, you have to have faith in something. Like, you need to be able to connect with that source.
You need to have something that you're backing yourself on. You know what, even if it's someone. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's someone that you've identified and you're actually, this person's doing this.
Exactly.
You don't necessarily do what they're doing, but I can try and do this as well. Because, like, we've all got 24 hours in a day.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna have to use my time wisely as well. And I think that's another thing, like time. Using time wisely. It's so important. My last question is, if you could tell me one thing you like about this current age, like about this age right now.
Yeah, I like. In this current age, I like all the devices that we have that allow us to share information. Yeah. Because it means that a lot of discussions are happening, a lot of conversations that were behind closed doors are now happening in the open. Yeah. People are learning new things. Just sharing of information, and it also means that there's a lot of misinformation out there and fake news and alternative facts. Yeah. But again, it's like you've got to sift through it. I just love the fact that we've got so much information about, like, we're able to tell history in our way. When they look back on all of our tweets and our Facebook posts and everything, that's history right there. Unless they like delete all of our tweets and just keep the Daily Mail headlines or something. And then obviously,
who knows?
For real, obviously things like that have actually happened in history before, where they burn all the books and stuff like that. But hopefully, if it does stay, this is a good record of what actually happened, and the future generations will get a good feeling of who we were and what we were doing at the time.
Okay, So I mean, that's powerful, and I'm gonna kind of just speak on that actually about the whole concept of like history and obviously documentation of our tweets and so which is like again like links back to responsibly sourced. Like, do you know what I mean? Like there's got to be that responsibility like with like what we're tweeting and what we're saying and kind of what we're doing, because again it's a record, like it's actually a document. Like like people get convicted of what they said, like so
but I think it's important though, like the positive and the negative, the real facts and the fake facts. Like I think it's important that when they look back, they see the trueness and not just what we would like them to see. Do you know what I mean? Recently, people have been getting dragged on their old tweets and being forced to delete it. But I feel like once you apologize, like it's a shame that it's getting deleted. To be honest with you, because then we're not gonna get like, how are they gonna know that this is what we went through? Like, if everyone's dark skin bashing tweets were deleted, then how are they gonna know in the future that dark skins used to get bashed? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're saying.
But it is very wrong of people. But like, don't blame the sheep, blame the shepherd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just to wrap up, I'm just gonna say thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time. You're all busy like in this age. No pun intended. So thank you for coming. I understand. Obviously, so the project's coming out. So Oliver Twist, September? You said around the time.
September.
So how can people find you? How can see your work?
So just on all social media as Pure Yinks, PUREYINKZ. Twitter and Instagram is my main thing. All my little gems are on Insta Story or on Twitter.
Okay, cool. Well, my name is Tunde. If you guys don't know already, like I've done this a few times, but I'm gonna put my Twitter handle, and obviously this is Yinka. Thank you for joining again. We're at the Drummer West Studios. The studio is located in Peckham, and it's a multi-functional space. It's a photo shoot studio, exhibition space, and they've also got like merchandise. So we're gonna put the link also to like Drummer West Studios website. That's it. Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and opinions. We're more than open to like. To kind of get this conversation going.
Don't bash us though.
Don't bash us, but let us have your feedback. It's important for us to continue to grow and develop as well. So thank you for listening.